So, good evening everyone. I am Hazel M. Rosa and I'm going to discuss tonight about the 1973 Constitution of the Marcos administration. So, after the 1935 Philippine Constitution, ang Philippine Constitution natin ay nag-evolve once again, leading us to one of the most prominent constitutional era of the Philippines. This is the 1973 Philippine Constitution of the Marcos administration. So, what makes it catchy or what makes it prominent na kahit 6 decades na ang nakakalipas, pinag-uusapan pa rin siya ng mga tao. So, let's go back from where it started. On December 30, 1965, Ferdinand Marcos was elected as president. And in 1967, ang Philippine Congress ay nagpasa sila ng resolution na nananawagan sa Constitutional Convention na i-change ang 1935 Constitution kasi may mga previous president na namahala sa Pilipinas but ang gamit nila ay still the 1935 Constitution. Then, after 4 years, nanalo na naman si Marcos bilang Pangulo ng Pilipinas at sinasabi ng mga tao na ginagamit niya ang pondo ng gobyerno. But what is Constitutional Convention? Pag sinabi natin Constitutional Convention, sila yung mga delegadong na-elect ng taong bayan na babalangkas ng bagong constitution. So, they are the group of people or people who are called to change the constitution. The constitution for the Constitutional Convention took place on November 20, 1970. Then, after a year, the convention formally began with Carlos P. Garcia as president. So, I'm actually confused with the name since yung nakasulat sa module is Carlos P. Romulo and my other sources says it's Carlos P. Garcia. And I stick with Carlos P. Garcia since maraming nasasabi na siya yung president ng convention that time. But unfortunately, he died, so he was succeeded by another former president, Diosdado Macapagal. But before matapos ang trabaho ng CONCON or Constitutional Convention, on September 21, 1972, President Ferdinand Marcos issued Proclamation number 1081 placing the entire Philippines under martial law kasi laganap daw ng panahon na yon ang corruption and the growing insurgency. At what is martial law? When we say martial law, pansamantalang nililipat sa mga military ang authority to govern the people. Usually, ginagamit siya in times of war or may rebellion na nagaganap or when there are natural disasters na nagaganap sa bansa. If effective ang batas militar, the commander or general of the army of a certain country have no limitation in his authority to make or implement laws. President Marcos issued Presidential Decree number 73 na itinatakda ang araw ng plebiscite sa araw ng November 30, 1972 para tanggihan ang proposal ng Constitution. But Marcos suspended the plebiscite kasi natatakot siya na mag-vote yung mga tao para i-reject ang Constitution. When we say plebiscite, a vote by which the people of an entire country express an opinion for or against a proposal, especially on the choice of government ruler. So, imbes na plebiscite, Citizens Assembly ang nangyari, held on January 10 to 15, 1973. So, this one also, I'm confused with the dates. So, the Citizens Assembly is Presidential Decree number 86-A issued on January 5, 1973, kung saan nagtipon ng citizens and bumoto by their hand and to decide and prove the Constitution and to continue the martial law and reject the Interim National Assembly. On January 17, 1973, President Marcos issued Proclamation Number 1102 and announced that the Constitution of the 1973 had been ratified by an overwhelming majority of the people and has become effective. The 1973 Constitution is composed of a preamble in 17 articles, proposes for the shift from the presidential to a parliamentary style of government. When we say parliamentary government, it is a democratic form of government in which the party with the greatest representation in the parliament forms the government. Its leader becomes prime minister and chancellor. The Constitution vests the legislative power in the National Assembly with 6 years term. A prime minister is elected from among the members of the National Assembly and serves as the head of the government and commander-in-chief of the Philippine Armed Forces. The president is elected from among the members of the National Assembly and serves as a symbolic head of the state with a 6 years term. So, yung Prime Minister, parang he have the executive power na daw sa present constitution natin is in-exercise ng president. So, the president noon is parang symbolic lang siyang head of the state. Parang decoration lang siya but he has no power. Let's talk about the 1987 amendment. The Interim Batasang Pambansa, a substitute for the Interim National Assembly. President would also become Prime Minister and continue exercise legislative powers until such time martial law was lifted. Sixth Amendment authorized to legislate on his own on emergency basis. 1973 Constitution further amended in 1980 and 1981. 1980 Amendment extended retirement age of members of judiciary to 70 years. 1981 Amendment modified parliamentary system into French-style semi-presidential system. The executive power was restored to the president. Direct election of the president restored, and the executive committee composed of prime minister and not more than 14 members was created to assist the president in the exercise of power and functions and in the performance of duties he may prescribe. Instituted electoral reforms. The 1984 amendment abolished the executive committee, restored the position of vice president. 1973 Constitution provided a through parliamentary system. Marcos used manipulation to keep powers for himself. The final form was the abolition of the Senate. Some other changes is the House of Representatives became known as Batasang Pambansa. The departments become ministries, cabinet secretaries to cabinet ministries, and executive secretary to prime minister. The 1973 Preamble. We, the sovereign Filipino people, imploring the aid of divine providence in order to establish a government that shall embody our ideals, promote the general welfare, conserve and develop the patrimony of our nation, and secure to ourselves and our posterity the blessings of democracy under the regime of justice, peace, liberty, and equality, do ordain and promulgate this Constitution.